What is up, guys? This is the Xceleration Fitness Podcast number 7. I'm John Pep.
I'm Ben Boudreau.
And we're here
with Aaron Byrd.
Aaron Byrd.
Special guest Aaron Byrd.
Yes. So, Aaron, why don't you kind of introduce yourself, give everybody a quick rundown before we get too deep.
Do you want me to do it, or are you humble? Like, too humble? Because his background is huge.
Yeah, probably.
Professional soccer.
Correct.
He is the all-time. Are you still the all-time leading scorer?
For the not for you. I'm in the top 10 in goals, points, and games for college, and I'm the leading scorer for the pro team that I played for.
And that team was?
Leading scorer, the Windsor Border Stars.
The Windsor Border Stars, all-time leading professional soccer player, all-time leading scorer. This guy is a soccer machine. If you play soccer anywhere in Michigan, you know who Aaron Byrd is. He now works full-time. He has his own next level training, which he trains, what is it now? 300, 400 people who've gone to D1 or professional?
We train about anywhere from 700 to 1,200 kids a week. We've had over 450 college players now that we've put to college, and we've had over 30 national team players and pros.
Wow. Holy cow. So, if you play soccer, you know Aaron Byrd.
And if you don't, you need to.
But what we're going to do today, Aaron, is talk about, just bring back your athletic career. I mean, talk about things you did so any athletes watch this, any parents watching who have athletes can say, you know, this is what I need to do for my kid. Kind of your background, your story, and maybe some weird things about you too.
It's nothing weird. So, you know, I guess, first off, thanks for having me here. I mean, this has been a huge find for me in my career, this gym and the people around here. But I was a soccer player growing up. I mean, I broke 400 lamps and vases in my parents' house, kicking balls around in Bloomfield Hills. Grew up right around here. I was a soccer junkie. I loved to play. And when I was growing up, there wasn't a lot of speed, agility, strength, body control, body mechanic type stuff. So we just played. And I went to college, played D1, and I went to college as an 145-pound athlete. And I'm playing.
College, you're 145?
I was 145 pounds my freshman year, and I went, and I'm playing against guys that are 4 years older and 175, 180 pounds. So I had a very good career and a very successful career. But I looked at it, and it was my senior year. I met a guy. He was one of my roommates that was huge into strength training and functional movement and the stuff you guys do here in this gym. And he kind of took me under his wing, and I enjoyed it. I liked it, and it kind of made me take a complete 360, because by the time I got to be 25, that's when my pro career actually took off. He had me the most fit, the most strong, the most confident, the most comfortable I'd ever been with my body at a playing weight, to where I was stronger, I was more functional, I was more explosive, and it was all that outside stuff away from the soccer ball that really changed my career, because I got this sense of, you know, arrogance, but more confidence of, I can run by you and I'm strong enough to hold you off. To where in college I didn't have that. So my game kind of changed after learning all this stuff and doing it. I just wish it was something I had when I was that age, that maybe my college career would have been different, and I'd have been doing something else, playing somewhere else. But, you know, I look back at it and I say, everything I think happens in life for a reason and comes to you at a certain time. So when I got that, and I was already past the prime of when U.S. national team's looking for 19-year-olds, 20-year-olds that are coming in to be the next wave of superstars, it allowed me to get a whole new, at a more mature level in my life, a whole new understanding of what I could pass on to athletes, what I could pass on as far as, listen, you have to perfect your trait. Soccer is your trait. You have to be able to pass, trap, dribble, shoot, do everything with the ball. But if you don't do the stuff in the gym, you're never going to reach the potential. And it took me learning that at a later age in life to realize how important it truly was.
Age 25, so that's when you felt like you peaked, is 25.
I was at my 20, I was 27, I think, when I led the, or I'm sorry, I was 25 when I led the entire Canadian Pro League in scoring. I won the Golden Boot, was runner-up MVP for the entire league. The very next year, or that same year, I won the Westby Award, which was the Player of the Year for soccer for the entire county.
Jeez, 25. So how old were the guys you were playing against at that time? Average.
21, 22. It was a pro league, so most guys were out of college or skipped college to play. So 19 to 26.
So you were the old
I was
geezer.
probably on the older, yeah. And I played that next year. I was actually starting to get some looks from overseas, and I was looking to finally take the trek. And I started off that next year. We were 7 games in, and I had like 12 goals. I started off on fire. I was on fire. I just started off really well. I was confident. And we were playing in London, I remember. About 10 minutes into the game, I went up, guy ducked underneath, came down, tore every ligament in my ankle. And I was at 27, rehabbed it for 8 months, came back at 28. London wanted to sign me, came out for a rehab game, played 30 minutes. They said, everything looks great, we want to sign you. We had a contract stuff worked out.
In London?
In London.
So hold up. Let's just give me a snapshot of your life at this time. You're 27 years old. London's offering you. Are you married with kids? Like what?
Nope, I'm single at the time. Well, I might have been with my wife. We might have been dating at the time. But I was single, no kids. And soccer was still my life. I was still just playing and thinking I was going to go on and play overseas. So tore all my ligaments in London. Rehab for 8 months. Stepped on the field with them, played a 30-minute rehab. They wanted me to play 30 minutes of a rehab game. That was on a Thursday night in London. I came back home for the weekend. My buddy asked me to play in a pickup game on Saturday.
No.
Stepped on the field. It wasn't a minute and a half into the game. I tore my ACL, LCL, MCL, broke my leg.
How?
Minute and a half into the game. Guy,
That's nasty.
It was actually kind of a ironic story. Is one of my best friends that I played with since we were 12, 13, played me a pass that he knew was not a good pass, and it kind of hung me out to dry. Their center back came through, went straight through my leg, and like I said, ACL, LCL, MCL, broken leg.
Broken leg too.
Broken leg too. Yeah, it was a 14-month rehab straight after 8 months, and this was 30-minute. I played 30 minutes. I did an 8-month rehab, played 30 minutes, and then a 14-month rehab.
Wow. So
And that pretty much ended it. There were no calls coming in from any pro teams then.
I feel like that's something. I mean, as much as you can try to prevent it, even with strength and conditioning, all that kind of stuff. I mean,
Yeah, that's just a freak.
That's
just how things work.
100%. I could have been 225 pounds of nothing but muscle, and it still would have happened. It was that's something that you can do all this stuff and try to prevent it. I mean, it happens to NFL players, and they spend so much time preventing it. It's a freak thing. It's going to happen, and it was unfortunate. And again, I look back at it and said, okay, if that wouldn't have happened and I would have gone overseas, would I have next level training? Would I have the opportunity to make an impact on all these athletes? And would I have the opportunity to do what I love? I love getting on the field with kids and athletes of 7-year-olds that want to be better, and pros that need to learn, need to be taught how to work out hard, and what it's like to have to overcome adversity. And I think these are all obstacles that kind of pave the way for who I am. If I'd have gone 30 years old with never having an injury, never having to overcome anything, always being athletically gifted, bigger, faster, stronger, like a lot of people that I played with and grew up with are, I don't think I would have been as refined in what I do, because I know what it's like to come back from serious injuries. I know what it's like to have to work hard. I know what it's like to have to try to get stronger, faster, and do that. So, they're all things that I look at now as things that made me who I am, not things that affected where I could have been. So,
Wow.
Makes sense. So after that happened, you rehabbed. What was next? Did you jump right straight into training, or what kind of happened with that?
Was there a comeback at all after that? Or?
There was. I rehabbed for 14 months, and when I went to the hospital that night, the day of the injury, I went to the hospital, and I'm laying on the bed in my uniform, and the pain was the worst pain I've ever experienced in my life. And I'm walking, this doctor's walking down the hall, and he turns and he goes, "Aaron Byrd, is that you?" It was one of the greatest people that I've ever played with in my life. I played with him in high school for 3 years, and he's now an orthopedic surgeon at the hospital I went to. So he took over my case. He got me in the MRI right away. He took my thing, got me the results right away. And he comes back to me, and he's a funny guy that is just like a charming personality. And he comes up, he's like, I got good news and I got bad news. And I said to him, well, give me the bad news. And he goes, I've never seen an injury like this other than in a car accident. And I said, give me the good news. He's like, man, it's great to see you after all these years. And I couldn't help but laugh, right? It was a very funny, and so he made me laugh. So 14 months of rehab, I rehabbed nonstop. He kind of told me, there was a guy that played football at Michigan State, now completely different sports, but the quarterback, Mill Coleman, was one of the first they heard to tear it. Mill the Thrill. Tore his ACL and LCL at the same time his senior year, I think it was at Michigan State, and he never came back to play again. So my doctor said, it's going to be tough for you to ever come back and play. You might not be able to play again, and you guys who are athletes and competitors know that nobody's ever going to tell you when it's done. It's going to be
especially when you're the leading scorer and you just came off. You're contracted to London.
I'm competitive, and I don't like to be told that I can't do something. So I rehabbed 14 months as hard as I can be. I got back in the gym. I tried out with the pro indoor team in Detroit, because that Canadian league, the Windsor team, folded, and London wasn't going back after 22 months of rehab.
Yeah.
So I tried out with the Detroit pro indoor team, and I ended up playing 5 years in the pro indoor. 5 more years pro indoor, and then tore my meniscus and patella.
Yeah, that was just recently, right?
That was recently. This was this past year. So I've been done now 2 years. So I played 5 more years. We went to 2 national championships. There's 52 teams in the league, and our team went to, it was awesome. We got to go to San Diego twice. We played in the Valley View Casino once. And then the other game was at this Del Mar Arena. It was sweet. It's an outdoor arena, indoor field on an outdoor facility. It was sweet. It was super cool. So got to go to San Diego twice for the national finals. Unfortunately, we lost both times to San Diego. But we played them in the U.S. Open Cup the next year, which is the largest indoor tournament. We played them in that in the final, beat them in the final 7-6, and I scored the game winner against them to get them back.
So was that your last game?
No, last game was when I did my meniscus and patella. That was 2 years ago. So I rehabbed that. I rehabbed my meniscus patella for about 7 months, and ever since I've been in your gym.
Yeah. So obviously you bounced back through injury. You're still having a huge impact on all the kids that come to you. You kind of fell into the path that you're at right now, and like you said before, the coolest part is how passionate you are, and you get to do what you love, right? So learning through all those injuries, learning through all that, looking back on it, would you say that soccer, your success level and all that, there's probably no right answer, but is it mental or is it physical?
Oof. I'm gonna be honest. I'm gonna say it's probably 70% mental, 30% physical, because I look at it when I played, and even though I got to be 20 pounds heavier and still functional and move better, it didn't change the soccer player I was. Mentally, I just had that, I'm faster than you, I'm stronger than you, you're not going to stop me. That mental edge of, I'm bigger, faster, stronger than you, and I know I'm good with the ball because that's what my game always was. And the fact of the matter was, my game didn't change, right? My game, I was still the same soccer player, it was just I was heavier, and who knows if I was faster or more explosive, but in my mind I was, right? In my mind I was unstoppable, and that's kind of what paved that way for that 24 to 28-year-old career that I had, that kind of is my career, right? That made me who I was. So mental's a huge part of it, and we spend so much time in our training programs, just like you guys do, but we spend so much time in ours on confidence building, on trying to get these kids some positivity, some confidence, so they feel good, because some of them some of them that we have are such talented kids, and you watch them play and they don't perform well, and it's not because of their ability, it's because they don't have that confidence in themselves. Yeah,
you nailed on the head when you just said that right there, because listening to your career and everything you've done, to bounce back from injury in 14 months of rehab, you can't do that without a positive mindset. And obviously your positive mindset led you to be the leading scorer, led you to do all these pro teams in such a long career. So I think what people really confuse is, you said 70% mental. Some soccer players might hear that and be like, oh, I got to watch video on my technique, my form, and all that. It's not that. It's more, well, just saying, but it's your positive mindset of, I am faster, I am stronger. Because I'll be honest with you, in my personal wrestling career, that was my biggest downfall. I would get to the highest level, get to the finals, the state finals, everything, but my mindset was not exactly positive. I would think about, so I think your positive mindset is why your business is so successful as well too. So that's really admirable.
100%. And I it's actually kind of ironic you said that, because I was in here actually talking to Nick and Sean for the first time. You two weren't in here, and I had a great conversation with them just about coming into this gym. It just reeks positivity and like optimism and fun, energy, excitement. And those are the things that, before I even came in here, that's what, when we have our staff meetings with our trainers, is you have to be positive with these players, you have to be energetic, you have to be motivating, you have to be this, because these kids are looking for role models in these fields, whether it's strength and conditioning, whether it's baseball, soccer, football, whatever, they're looking for role models. And we have the opportunity to do that, and we have the opportunity to take these kids to a separate level by our positivity. And that's where, people look at my program just like yours. We're an extra, right? People don't have to come to us. So if they don't find value in your program or mine, they don't come to us. So part of our value adding is, just like you said, is getting these kids that positive mindset and that confidence to say, I can do this. I can be better. I can make this team. I can go play in college. I can bench 225 pounds. Whatever their goal is, our job is to help them realize they can do it. And in what I've found in a lot of these gyms, trainers, coaches, fields, they don't give them that. They don't share that with them. So they're looking for it. And that's, like you said, our business gets to where it is. Aaron Gray. There's a little people's place right there.
Yeah.
So, that's what they're looking for. And these kids need it. And you're right. That's probably why our business has been as successful as it has, because we're good at what we teach, but we're not reinventing the wheel.
Yes.
Right? Soccer is what it is. You don't pass differently, you don't trap differently, you don't dribble differently. It's how you can make these kids feel and how you can make them.
I think that's absolutely everything. Like, no matter what, obviously we're talking about sports specific stuff, but in any type of business and in life, when you have that mindset, I know me and Ben have talked about this quite a bit on the podcast, but when you have that positivity, that positive, that growth mindset, it's contagious. And then that person that you're working with or around, they start to bring theirs up, then yours goes up a little more, and it just keeps going and going and going, and you feed off one another.
Yeah.
Right? So I think it's huge to find those people around you and to make yourself a positive presence to others. Absolutely. Make it a goal.
Well, I think the most telling thing, and I've been through in the last year and a half some of the most negative situations that people would ever have to go through. And they weren't situations, they were from people that you surround yourself with. And luckily one of these is done, and there's these two things. It's just people have such an impact on you, and you don't even want, like, you can try to say this person doesn't affect me, right? This person doesn't affect me. I don't care what they say. But at the end of the day, people have feelings. People are human beings. And when it is. And when you surround yourself with people that are positive, your energy picks up. When you surround yourself with people that are negative, they can bring you down if you allow them to do that. So the thing that I have found in these last 2 years is, going through these situations, there were times where I would let these people affect me, and it would affect my workout, it would affect my training, it would affect how I taught my kids. And I mean, I think one of the hardest parts is personally understanding that, personally fixing that, because when you don't have somebody to go to say, hey, look, you're treating the kids poorly, your attitude's negative, you don't see it. Like, you get caught in that. And I think that's how so many of these people become that type of person, is they don't ever get it fixed. They don't self-assess. They don't have the self-awareness of, man, I really am being a bad person, or I really am treating this person like crap, or I really am negative, right? People don't hear that. And when you don't tell me I'm being negative, you just disassociate yourself with me. So then I bring that negativity to you. And if people never tell and they never try to pick them up and optimize those people, that's the type of person they become. So I think it's hard, and I think you're right. I mean, it is hard to find people that are always positive, and when they're not, it's even harder for them to get themselves out of it, because people don't help.
The self-assessment thing you said, I think it's so easy to just go on with your life and not do it. That's the thing, you know.
Yeah, just ignore it.
For me, I don't have a choice, because my wife just tells me every single day if I'm doing something wrong. But
Oh, yours too?
yeah. But I mean, yeah, I definitely agree. And I think the whole synopsis of this whole podcast is how successful you were in sports and in business. And I think 70% of that is your positive mindset. So back to your success. What are some rituals you did before the game? And do you have any like special little quirks that you did, like superstitious wise?
When I was younger, I had probably the weirdest superstition anyone would ever have. And to this day, I still laugh about it. So before I went to high school, all growing up playing club, I was always, I was number 3. So I wore 3 pairs of socks.
No way.
3 shorts.
Your mom has been so pissed, man. That's so wrong.
You literally wore three pairs of shirts.
Yeah, I made sure the first one was the smallest one, the next one.
How old were you?
Did they get a little hot?
This is
Like,
like
a little
like,
warm?
I
Like
don't know, probably
uncomfortable?
this was. I didn't even think about it. It was probably. It was probably from the time I was 10 to 14, maybe.
Jeez.
Yeah.
I've never heard that before. That's
No,
awesome.
it was weird, but no, the only superstition I've ever had that I've gone these last couple, or I guess since the time I signed my first pro contract, was I was always number 9. I like to wear jersey number 9. The one pickup game that I played, that game where I did it, one of the guys that I was playing with, who's a MLS All-Star, was the player of the year for their Columbus Crew last year, superstar player. I trained him this summer. Awesome guy, awesome kid. He had number 9. So I was like, well, 18's available. 1 + 8 is 9. So I wore 18. A minute and a half into the game is when I did that injury. There was one other time a guy tried to give me jersey 18 last summer, and I said, I will not put that on my back. So no, I mean, I like to warm up hard. I'm a firm believer in heavy sweat before you start doing what you're doing. And you know, people always like, well, don't you think you're tire yourself out before the game? And I same thing with training, is being tired and stopping is a mindset. It's a mental thing, right? I mean, you can always find a second wind. You can always try to get your lungs back. You can always find ways to recover and rest. But you know, for me, I would rather be over prepared and warm and ready to go than try to save myself and try to get warmed up in the game. So I always warmed up extremely hard, got a nice heavy sweat going, and number 9 were my only 2 superstitions I ever
And the
had.
3
And the
pairs.
3, but that was years ago.
Yeah.
That was like 6 years ago when I was 14.
So what about kind of the mindset type of things? Like, what did you do to kind of train that? You know, was there any specific things like goal setting wise, visualization, anything like that? Did you do any of that kind of stuff?
Good question. No, I did, for sure. I did. Goal setting was huge for me, as far as, and I tried to do that with our kids. And
Who introduced that to you?
Probably my club. If actually, you know what, I might have read it, and I do some reading of like motivational books and entrepreneurial books, especially when I was getting to that 20. I was old enough. I mean, I would say, if anybody kind of introduced me to it, it would be my club coach that I had for 6-7 years. He was like a role model to me. He was a guy that I looked up to as far as the game of soccer. and he really pushed me to new levels when we were younger. He kind of was, it wasn't like it is today where people are like, hey, write it down on paper and do this. He was more having conversations with me. What are your goals? What do you want to do? Where do you want to go? Which was my first real introduction to it, because nobody had ever asked me that, right? Nobody ever asked you, you know, what do you want to do with this game? What are your expectations? Because I feel like that's a huge question that's missed a lot, because having 800 to 1,500 kids a week, I might get a kid that's 14 years old that has no interest in playing, and mom and dad have no idea that, and they're pushing them, go, 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 and the kid has no intention of playing past high school. And that's a huge, huge piece of information that's needed, because I'm going to push a kid. Every kid that comes through my program, I'm going to push like they want to go play collegiately until they tell me they don't. And I can still scale it back and still push them and challenge them, but make it to where their goals are, you want to play in high school? Okay, we can do this with a lot less push, right? And I think that's a huge thing, is goal setting should be communicated between whoever you're working with, whether you're going to a gym or coming to a soccer trainer, because you're going to push me based on my goals. And if I don't know your goals and I'm pushing you to something that you don't want, you're not going to enjoy it.
Yeah.
So goal setting is something I did a lot. I didn't.
Can I back you up
Yeah,
right there?
yeah,
Because this is probably really important. What were your parents like as coaches or as leaders in your soccer profession?
Massive question. I think that, you know what, my dad, I played baseball growing up for a lot of years, all the way up through high school, and honest to God, was probably better at baseball than I ever was at soccer. I just,
Second base or no? Center field?
Shortstop.
There we go.
I was just, it just bored me. I didn't
Slow
enjoy it.
pace.
I loved playing the field, because the ball always came to me, but it was like, you know, I just didn't enjoy it. Baseball's a great sport. I love to watch it now and I follow it, but my dad was my coach of baseball, so he was always my, do this. The thing that I will always credit my dad for, and my mother. My mom was the one that took me to every single practice, drove me to every single game, drove me to here, drove me to there, this, that, the other thing. My mom was our team manager, everything. My mom and dad never got involved with my coaches, never got involved with my
Can you
parents.
we have a microphone and just like say it louder?
Never got involved. My dad would always tell me when I played poorly. My dad would always tell me when I played great. My dad would always tell me when I was lazy. My dad would always tell me when I did this good, did this wrong, did whatever. But he never coached me from a sideline. He never got in the car and said, you should have done this play, you should have done that play. Never. And he never missed a game. Never, ever missed a game. And it was kind of comforting to get to the point to where you knew you could get in the car and you would get honest feedback from him. I think you played like crap. You missed a lot of open passes. You missed this. I think you were lazy. I think you didn't get back. And it's like a lot of kids would maybe take that negatively. But like you said, self-assessment, when you get to the level that a lot of us have been at, you know when you play well. You know when you play poorly. You know when you make good decisions, bad decisions. You know when you're lazy. You know when you're working hard. I know when I walk out of this gym if I had a good workout or if I was lazy. It's not something that I can hide. I can fake. I can do that. And my dad was honest with it, and it was that comfort of knowing that my mom and dad didn't push me to do things I didn't want to do, didn't treat me like crap after a game, were honest and, you know, upfront with their assessment of my game, which is why I picked to go to school in state, because I had 2 or 3 offers from top 10, 15 programs in the country, but I loved the comfort of having mom and dad at the game. It was huge for me, and I'm a very family-oriented person, and having them there was huge, even though I knew at times I was going to get honest assessment about how poorly I played or how lazy I was. But like your huge point is my parents never got involved with what I was doing. They were my support system. Drop me off at practice, pick me up and take me. Hey, I want to go do an extra training, no problem, here's the money, go do it. Never stood on the sideline and told me what to do, how to do it, anything.
That's awesome. I cannot tell you how many. I hope parents are watching this, because I've worked with a lot of professional athletes, college athletes, everyone, and I always ask them this question about their parents. And the high-level people are like, he supported me, he was honest, but
He wasn't the parent that was arguing with the ref or, going to the coaches and doing this and standing out. Like, they didn't, like, I tell people a story all the time. My dad took me out of wrestling when I was in 4th grade. I was like the state champion, Mr. Everything, and my dad's like, guess what? You're done wrestling. Because I went to a match and I quit on purpose. And he's like, in the middle of the match, he goes, stop the match, took my shoes off, we drove home, and I took a year off wrestling. And he's like, whenever you're ready to come back to wrestle. Well, I didn't want to wrestle though, and that's what he found out, because obviously I quit the match. But the next year I came back, and I don't think I lost a match in 3 years, but I actually wanted to do it. And from then on, it was the same thing. So I think it's so crucial for parents to really learn that.
Well, you'd be absolutely shocked, and we could do an entire another podcast on it, but you'd be shocked at how many players I have at 10, 11 years old that are, I would say to you, this player's going to be on the national team by the time they're 16. You can, like, this player, the way they move, the way they control their body, their balance, everything. And then at 14, they quit. And over 3-4 years of seeing how their parents interact with them, I know the answer why. Every single time, it's so, and these parents don't have, the problem is they come to me and they do an hour session. They come back 2 days later and do an hour session. Those 70 some hours in between with mom and dad are way, way too important, because those parents sit there and Johnny's playing over you because of political reasons. The coach likes his dad, or you're better than this player. And it causes this kind of that negative stuff that we're talking about. So you, who have no idea that John's better than you because mom and dad are telling you he's not. So in your mind, he's not. So you go around telling your friends that he's worse, and it creates this kind of tension and animosity and this and that. And it's parents affecting these kids to where kids just want to play. They just want to play, and they want to have fun with their friends. And if you end up being that high tier level to where you can go to college or play pro, you'll separate yourself in your work ethic, your attitude, your discipline, how you do things, how you eat, how you train. You'll do that on your own. You'll find that passion. But when parents give it or try to take it away, it kills me, because I see it every single day in the kids we train.
I always just try, the parent, it isn't our podcast, but one thing I do want to say about the parent stuff, I learned this in college because I had to do some paper for my master's degree on siblings and how they affect each other, and I did the Manning brothers. And Peyton Manning's dad said, I was up in the stands with a video camera, but I never went to practices, I never did this. I just let them play. They didn't need another coach, they needed a dad.
Yep.
And he did pretty damn well with his kids.
Yeah, they turned out all right.
All right, we'll wrap this up because I know you got some girls that train before your game. Real quick though.
Superstars over there right there.
Yeah, superstars. What is the best goal you've ever scored in soccer? The one where it's just like, damn. It could be 10 years old, it could be pro.
Actually, probably the best one I ever scored was when I tore my meniscus and patella. I scored on it. I didn't know what it felt like. Ball came across on a full cross, and I faked like I was gonna hit it full volley out of the air. Goal was over here. Cut it back with my left, so I'm going away from the goal. The defender had totally turned his back, so he turned back, and I faked a shot, pushed it between his legs and megged him, and then took one step, and I swear I've never hit a ball so hard in my life. And on the plant is where I tore it. I hit a ball so hard, and it was like perfect top corner on a rope, upper 90, and I'm like, God, that was sweet, but that hurt so bad. And I jogged straight off. I jogged straight off the field.
last goal you ever scored?
Last goal I scored, yeah.
Wow.
And
So
I
that's going
jogged
out with a bang.
straight off the field. And it was funny because that night I hadn't even had, obviously I didn't get an MRI on it that night. I went home like, that didn't feel good. That kind of hurt. I didn't play the rest of the game. I was like trying to be smart with my body. And one of my teammates that night, guy I played pro with for like 6 years, sent me a Facebook message that said, man, look, this looks like your goal. And it was Gareth Bale plays for Real Madrid now, doing the same type of thing, nutmeg, upper 90 shot. And he's like, this looks like your goal. Next morning I went and got an MRI, and I said, I think that's the last goal I'm gonna score.
That's awesome, man. Well, we'll wrap this up. Where can people find you at? Because your Instagram's taking off, man.
Our Instagram and our Twitter are at NLT Soccer, and our website is next-leveltraining.com.
Yeah, John, you put that in the comments,
Yep,
right?
that'll all be linked up in the description, all that stuff linked, so you can go follow him. Soccer, get with this guy.
Make sure you guys watching this right now. This guy just turned 23
Birthday boy.
yesterday.
Yeah.
Birthday boy. Wish him happy birthday.
23 squats at 500 pounds today.
Ooh, I don't know about that, but
All right,
we'll
four
see.
He's
50.
225.
Well, he can do that.
Yeah.
23
Maybe
straight,
315, I don't
23
know.
straight deadlifts at 400.
Okay.
All right, deal.
I could probably do that.
I know you could.
Well, I don't know, maybe.
Make sure
No,
I'm
you
not-
did it last time. You got
Not, I
23.
didn't get 23, not with
But
400.
that was at 420 or 405 or
No,
something.
I
He
got
still has an
13.
Airdyne test.
13.
Who
I did
does?
that.
Oh, he did it.
yesterday.
Yeah,
I did
Yeah,
that
there, I saw his.
Yeah.
How many did you get calories?
34, 30, no, 38.
38.
38, yeah.
Did you do it yet?
Heck no.
Are you going to do it?
I actually saw yours. I was thinking about doing that one. I saw that one that they wrote for you.
Yeah, it's fun. But.
All right.
All right,
All right,
so
guys, thanks for having me, guys. I definitely
of course.
appreciate this. Xceleration, awesome gym, awesome people, awesome environment.
So that is it, guys. As always, everything will be linked up below. We'll be back next Friday with episode number 8, I believe. Yeah, number 8 already. So keep on chasing.
Chase it.
Boom.